A very good afternoon to all my students. Today we will study about cell. Now first, what is cell? A cell is the basic unit of life and all organisms are made up of cells and or they can be made up of group of cells called as tissues. But a living cell is not including viruses, viroids and prions, where viruses are a link between the living and the non-living, because outside a bacteria or the pathogen, it is a living, but when it attacks to a pathogen or an organism, it is behaving like a living organism. While the viroids are only having the genetic material, that may be RNA or DNA, and the prions are only having the protein. So all these three, viruses, viroids and prions, are not considered as living cells. Living cells. Now coming to the scientists who have worked over cells and what they have observed. First was the Robert Hooke, who has observed the first dead cell, that was the cork cell, while A.V. Leeuwenhoek observed first living cell and it was the microbe. But the Robert Brown was the one who has discovered the nucleus, the basic of a cell that makes it living, and it was discovered in 1831. So these were three scientists who were having important contributions for the discovery of a cell and the nucleus. Now we will study about the cell theory. What was cell theory? The cell theory was theory about the discovering the components and about the cell, that was given by Matthias Claden, Theodor Swan. Matthias Claden was a German botanist, and in 1838 he has discovered that all plants are composed of different cells, while the Theodor Swan was a British zoologist who has worked over the animal cells, and he told that animal cells are composed of cells, while he has also discovered the plasma membrane, but the name was not given to the as a plasma membrane. He just said that animal cells has an outer thin cover, and further that was called as the plasma membrane. Further, he has studied about the plant cells, and he told that plant cells has an outer covering over this plasma membrane, and the latter it was called as the cell wall. Together, these two scientists, Matthias Claden and Theodor Swan, has given the cell theory. This was the cell theory given by both of the scientists, and they together said that all plants and animal cells are composed of cells and products of cell, and and all organisms are formed by the basic unit of life, that is the cell. Further, in 1855, Rudolf Virchow has modified this theory, and according to him, the cell theory was called as the omnicellular e-cellular, and it tells that all cells arises from pre-existing cells. Now, this cell theory has been modified and has 2 points. First one is that all living organisms are made up of cells, and these living organisms include plants and animals. And the second point includes that all cells arises from pre-existing cells. This is the lattice cell theory. Now we will study about prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. What is prokaryotic cells? Prokaryotic cells are the primitive cells. These are the cells that include bacteria, blue-green algae, BGA, that include the cyanobacteria. That bacteria are green in color and they photosynthesize, while the archaebacteria are the bacteria who are primitive, and that fourth one include the mycoplasma. These include pleuropneumonia like organism. These are the smallest cells and these don't have cell wall and they have a size of 0.1 to 0.3 micrometer. So the prokaryotic cells are the primitive cells or the small primitive cells, and these include all these four categories. Now in prokaryotic cell, the major part is including the bacteria. These bacteria have different type of structure. If it is circular in nature, then it is called as the coccus, and the example include streptococcus bacteria. While if it is a rod shape, then it is called as the bacillus structure, and that include the rhizobium bacterium. If it is has a comma shaped structure, this comma shaped structure, then it is the vibrio shaped, and it include the example of Vibrio cholerae bacteria. And the fourth one is include the spiral structure, that is the Spirillum bacterium. Now we will study about the bacterial cell. This is the structure showing the bacteria, where this circular structure is the DNA, that is double stranded, and these are the mRNA synthesized. These are the ribosomes which are involved in the synthesis of proteins, while these are the foldings of the inner membrane or the plasma membrane. This bacteria has three layers. The first one is the glycocalyx layer, second one is the cell wall, and the third one is the plasma membrane. These all three layers together are called as the cell envelope, and this can be remembered as GCC: glycocalyx, cell wall, and then cell membrane or plasma membrane. These three layers together form the cell envelope and protect the bacteria to get damaged by any acidic or basic chemical released by an organism when they interact to its body. This glycocalyx layer is very specific. It's only present in the bacteria, and if it is thick or tight, it is called as capsule, and if it is loose, this is called as the slim layer. This cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan that has the base of a sugar and the protein moiety with it. The third layer is the cell membrane, or called as the plasma membrane. This bacteria has a number of other projections, and these are of three types. First one is the flagella. This flagella is the outer structure that comes from the cell wall and made up of flagellin protein and help in the movement. The second projection is the cilia that comes from the cell wall and it also help in the movement, but sometimes it's involved in the surrounding fluid movement, while the third one is the pili that help in the conjugation, because sometimes bacteria has sexual reproduction, and for this sexual reproduction this pili fuses with the pili of the other bacterium and goes for the sexual reproduction. These are the small structures. These are present in the bacteria and making it specific. Now, some other specific structures are also present in bacteria. The first is the three layers. We know that a bacteria has three layers: glycocalyx, cell wall, and then cell membrane. But the cell membrane of bacteria has a number of foldings, and this folding is called as the mesosome, and that is involved in cell wall formation, DNA replication and DNA distribution, and a number of ribosomes are attached to its inner side. While some foldings has chloroplast material, that is chlorophyll A, chlorophyll A for photosynthetic bacteria, and it doesn't have a envelope for its genetic material, that is also called as the genophore or the nucleoid. These are the three specific structures that is different in prokaryotic or bacterial cell than to eukaryotic cell. One more thing a bacteria has, that is the circular extra chromosomal double-stranded DNA. Now, 4 specific characteristics a bacteria has, which we will study in the next class. Thank you.